It's silky, it's rich, indulgent. This chocolatey dessert has the perfect balance of texture and flavors. This is our recipe for the perfect chocolate tart. When developing this recipe, we had a big debate here about whether to do a vanilla or a chocolate crust. So of course we tested both. And ultimately, even surprisingly, we found the chocolate crust to be dry and brittle and a little bit bitter, while the vanilla was much more tender and balanced. So for this, we are Team Vanilla. We're going to start by making a basic short dough, which always has some kind of fat, flour, and water. We're using a food processor just because it's a lot easier, but you can also do this by hand. First, we will combine flour and our secret ingredient, powdered sugar. Powdered sugar is great because it dissolves quickly and contains cornstarch. Cornstarch helps prevent gluten from developing, which will give us a really nice tender crust. And now add a pinch of salt. I'm going to pulse this a few times, and once it's all incorporated, we'll add our fat. We tested both with butter and shortening and found that while both made great looking crust, the crust with the shortening leaves a waxy mouthfeel. So for this, butter is just better. So go ahead and add in some chilled butter, a few clumps at a time. It's gotta be chilled because we don't want it to fully incorporate. We are looking for a wet, sandy texture, like this. We'll leave that for a second, and in a separate bowl combine 1 egg yolk, vanilla, and water. This yolk is going to help bind the dough and add another layer of richness. Now that it's all ready, we'll drizzle it into the food processor and pulse, just until the dough starts to come together. We want to avoid overmixing our crust so it's nice and tender. We'll wrap it in plastic and let it chill for at least 1 hour to let the gluten relax. If we don't chill our dough, our butter will melt and be very difficult to roll out and it falls apart. Just like this, it's terrible. And we don't want that, so trust us, just chill your dough. When the dough has firmed up a bit, a little trick we like to do is place the dough between 2 sheets of parchment. And this way, you don't have to use more flour, which will make your dough tougher, and it's less mess. It's a win-win. We also like to rotate the dough by 90 degrees every few rolls. This helps make sure we get an even thickness. Next, we'll transfer the dough into a tart pan. A little trick to help you do this is wrap the dough around your rolling pin and gently unroll it over your pan. Make sure to press the dough gently into the pan and then use your rolling pin to remove any extra dough and make it flush with the pan. This dough is very forgiving, so if you have any extra, feel free to use that to do some patchwork just like I'm doing right here. You can always use the back of a knife to cut it to get a more precise edge. Next, we'll take a fork to prick holes on the bottom of this dough, which is called docking. We need to do this because we're going to blind bake this crust, which just means we're going to bake this without the filling. These holes will allow steam to escape, which will help the dough from puffing up since there's no filling to keep it down. After docking, we'll freeze this crust for 20 minutes to help it firm up. Okay, this crust is almost ready to go. Last thing we like to do is add a parchment paper. A little trick I like to do is crumble the parchment in my hands. That way it's easy to work with. And then we'll add pie weights. This will also keep the dough from puffing up and baking unevenly. If you don't have pie weights, feel free to use uncooked rice or beans. Now we're ready to partially bake this crust. We'll first bake it at 425 degrees with the pie weights for 15 minutes, then remove the parchment and the pie weights, decrease the oven temperature to 350 and bake it for an additional 15 minutes. Once it's done, transfer it to a wire rack and let it cool. While that cools, it's time to make our favorite part, the chocolate filling. First thing we need to do is choose our chocolate. Milk chocolate is sweet and has a less intense chocolate flavor, while unsweetened chocolate can be too bitter and a little bit overwhelming at times. So we landed in the middle, which is semi-sweet or bittersweet. For this recipe, we are going with bittersweet. Bittersweet chocolate is the perfect balance. It has the intensity of dark chocolate with a little bit of sweetness. And next, we'll chop up our chocolate. And if you can splurge and get more of a high quality bar, we recommend it since this is the star ingredient. We'll set that aside, and in a saucepan, we'll heat heavy cream and salt. Once it starts to simmer, we'll take it off the heat and add in our chocolate. We like to use a spatula to make sure all the chocolate is submerged under the cream. We'll cover this for 5 minutes to let it melt and then stir until it's smooth. We don't want any clumps, we want it silky smooth, just like this. In another bowl, whisk together 2 eggs and vanilla, and then slowly add a little bit of our chocolate mixture. This is called tempering. It brings up the temperature of the eggs without cooking them. This way you don't end up with scrambled eggs in your filling. Now that your eggs are up to temp, add the rest of your chocolate mixture and whisk to combine. But if you get any egg bits, don't worry. We're gonna put this through a strainer to make sure it's super smooth. Then we'll pour this into our cool tart shell. Look at that chocolate, it looks so smooth. We like to use an offset spatula to smooth out the top to make sure it's even. And we'll give it a little bit of a shake before it goes in the oven. We'll bake this for 25 to 30 minutes. We'll know it's done when the filling is set and the surface is glossy. Once it's done, we'll place it on a wire rack and let it cool. We could stop here, but we're tasty, so we're gonna add a cocoa mirror glaze on top. Mirror glazes could be intimidating, but the one we're gonna show you is foolproof. First, we'll pick our cocoa powder. We have 3 types to choose from: natural, which has an intense chocolate flavor; Dutch process, which is darker in appearance and a little less bitter than natural; and onyx, which is very dark and close to the flavor of an Oreo. We chose natural because we like the strong chocolate flavor. Now we can start making the glaze. In a small bowl, we'll combine gelatin sheets with ice water and let that bloom for 5 minutes. While that blooms, in a small pot, we'll combine sugar and water and bring that to boil. Once the sugar has dissolved, remove the pot from the heat and sift in your cocoa powder. Sifting breaks up any lumps, that way we get a super smooth glaze. Again, we're looking for that silky texture. Then stir until it's combined. Then we'll slowly whisk in some hot, heavy cream. We want to do this slowly because we want to avoid adding any air bubbles. Take your time and be gentle. We'll remove the gelatin sheets from the water and wring them out. Make sure to wring it out very well because you don't want to add any more liquid to your glaze. We'll add our gelatin into the cocoa mixture and stir until it's fully dissolved. This next part is very important. We need to let the glaze cool until it reaches 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And if we wait too long, this mirror glaze will set and be very hard to pour. Now that everything's cooled, it's time for the magic to happen. We'll put this through a strainer. We're gonna pour this glaze on our tart. And again, we're gonna use an offset spatula to help us spread it evenly across the top. We want it shiny and smooth. It's looking good. We've done all the work, and now comes the hard part. We have to wait. We have to let our tart chill in the fridge for at least 1 hour. That way our glaze sets. We know that wasn't easy, but we're done. All that's left to do is sprinkle a generous amount of sea salt on top and serve. Perfectly baked crust, a silky smooth chocolate middle, and a mirror glaze. Can we just appreciate all these beautiful layers? We'll top it with a dollop of whipped cream. Looks great, let's eat. We hope we've taught you some new things today. If you love this recipe, you can find it and many more on tasty.co.
Oh yes!